Good evening. It's September 2nd, Saturday, about 8 o'clock at night actually. Is it 8? Yeah, I was right, about 8 o'clock at night. And I have a kiln opening, not many pieces because these are big. And as I've said before, it eats up the kiln space-wise. So I have a really pretty bowl here, and it's a size I like, and I actually want it just another inch or two taller and wider. And I thought what might be interesting, and I was hoping that all of you might be interested in it, is when I've made, because I hand build everything. I don't throw these bowls. And so when it isn't quite as big as I want, it's not just a simple, well, I want it another inch bigger. I have to go through a long process to get to another mold that's another inch or two taller, an inch wider. So I thought you maybe might want to see that. So here's the result of the old size. My clay of choice is porcelain, Coda, and it shrinks 14%. 14% is considerable. This started out, I think, about 17 inches. It's a pretty bowl. I'm very, very happy with it. I hope you can see the shades are just lovely. I love that arrangement in the bottom. I didn't do that. The glaze melted that direction. I love the edge, and I left it nice and bright white, and I hope you can see the back. I've got that drizzly stuff, and then I've got all this mossy looking bowl. So I think the foot came out very, very pretty. I'm real pleased with it. I like the combination. This one's just a little bit different than the other ones I've done, always keeping me on my toes. So although I love this, and as you can see, it's a very large bowl. Let me see if I can get my measuring tape and not drop this at the same time. I'd be rather crushed if I did. So the point is that at this size, the depth is 4 inches, including in a full 1.25 foot. So that means that this bowl depth is about 3 inches. And I really wanted it to be a little deeper. And then across, it only ended up being about 14.5, almost 15. And I really want a bowl 16 to 17 inches finished. So, and about another inch to 2 inches deeper. So, although I'm very, very happy with this, and I think it's an absolutely beautiful bowl, and I think somebody would be pleased to own it, I would like to make something just a bit bigger. Gosh, that really came out pretty. I love how the green and the blue look together. I'm very happy with that. And as we've talked before, the pyrometric cones came out beautiful. This is a 5, which I was not aiming for. This is a 6, and it is perfect! Exactly what we've been aiming for. So the Kiln Master rocked it this time. So I'm going to see if I can get... and I saved the stinking cookie. How wonderful. There we go. Those are your cones. Okay. So what happens is I make molds. This is a mold I made before. And as you can see, I've got measurements for 5 and for 3s, and we're center. And as you can see, it's shallow. So this is a mold I use as a hump. Hump is generally over the top. Slump is inside. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. Every potter likes it something different. The slump inside is helpful because if there are no undercuts, this can just sit here, shrink, and not crack. The least amount of chance of cracking. This direction, as you can see, the clay is going to shrink, and as it pulls up, there is a good, strong chance that the sheer weight of the clay, the edge is drying sooner than this, and this being clay, sucking the moisture out, that there's going to be a huge stress crack. But it's easier to add the feet and decorate the back if you do the hump. So advantages and disadvantages to both. It depends on what your objective is as a potter and what your point of view is. For me, I generally like hump, but sometimes slump's pretty good too. So I'm doing a little bit of both. So now what I'm going to do this time is, this is what I had my husband make. Dan made this for me. And what this is just press board, 24 inches wide, and let me see here. And the depth is 12 inches deep. So I then, after he put these 4 boards together, 24 by 24 by 12, what I had him do was I had him put a top on, 24 inches square. And when he did the top, I had him cut out a hole 20 inches around in diameter. And this is the result. So what I do with this, oh, and I like to, everybody dries their clay a little different. I had an instructor once say to me, I said, well, I put it under plastic. And he said, he made a point, he said, you know, the plastic keeps it like a terrarium, actually holds in some of the moisture. He goes, I personally prefer cotton. And so this is thin, as you can see, pretty thin cotton. You can almost see my hand through it. Just breathable cotton, both pieces. I don't want any direct air on it, but I love putting cotton over it because any moisture that the clay gives off, excess moisture, will be absorbed here in the cotton and not redistributed back into the clay, which allows it to dry slowly and evenly. I've had nice success with it. If I'm very concerned about it being a very large, very thick piece, I might the first time cover it with 2 of these. As you can see, I have 2 for this. And then a piece of plastic loosely laid on top, not tight, just so that it cuts down even more. After the first 24 hours, I'm going to bag the plastic and maybe go with just 2 cotton sheets on the second 24-hour period. Now we're up to 48 hours. By the 3rd day, what I'm going to do is check then, and I'm going to feel what is my dryness like, and can I go down to 1 cloth at this point. I have to, there's going to be a lot more work done to this. What's nice about it, this started out at 20 inches, and as you can see, I cut some of it down. It was probably here, and I cut it down a little bit to get it more even. And then it is at least 7 inches deep from the bottom here to the top. And the width at this point is about 18 inches, 19 from this point to this point of the bowl. But it's going to dry and shrink more. And when I fire the bowl, it's going to shrink 14%. First time, not a full 14, but it's going to shrink. Overall, 14%. It's going to make this a lot smaller. So you can see, you have to start with something huge to get to a big bowl. If I really wanted this to stay a 19 to 20 inch bowl, I'm going to have to add 2 to 4 inches on this all the way around. There's a percentage and a calculator and a ruler you can do. I've never been great in math. But oh, and this is free in the bottom. It's not touching. This is more shallow than the box is deep. That's why I specifically wanted it 12 inches. I didn't want a 12-inch deep bowl. So as you can see, that's the process of making a new mold. And I will be working on this rough edge here you see. I'll use a, oh, I hate that when the words won't come. It's a scraper. And I cannot think of the word of it right now. But what it does is it looks like a cheese grater with that's sharp, and you just use it around the rim. And then I'll use my little scrubbies and pads and make the rim nice and even, and everything is close to perfect as I can. Because you can't stress enough, if you have an error in your mold, you want your mold to be as perfect as it can be. Because the more errors you have in this, it only exponentially increases in the finished piece. It doesn't diminish, it increases. That flaw will show more than it does right now. So do your best to make this as good as, at least that's my opinion, make it as good as you can. Getting this out is going to be I can't wait. That's being very sarcastic. I could wait a year. Because it's solid all the way around. We realized afterwards what we should have done was cut a hole here so I could get my arms in. Because if I could get my arms in, the bottom is open. But if I could get my arms in, then I could lift up on the bowl from the bottom, and then, or Dan could lift up, and then I could lift out. We don't have that option now. So this is going to be stinky to get out of here. I'm dreading it, actually. I'm probably going to add foam in here higher than the depth of the bowl so it's above. And then what I'm going to do is take a sheet of plywood, put that on top. Can you hear the weight? Just the weight of this, another sheet of plywood, the weight of the clay and the foam, and then together we'll flip the whole thing over to get this out. But it's going to be sitting in there for, I don't know, maybe a week. We'll see. I won't rush this piece. I don't want this to crack. I want this to stay nice, and I have a lot of work to make it perfect. But as you can see, it's looking pretty nice. I can feel some divots. I had a teacher once told me, close your eyes and feel. Your fingers and the rib will tell you where your uneven spots are. And boy, is that true. So that's what I'll be doing. And I just thought you might be interested in seeing how I make a hump or slump mold. I don't know if I had showed you these in the past. I'm making tiles for a design for a shadow box that I made, and then paint it and distress it so that it looks like distressed beech wood. Yes. So these are just some of the patterns I have done so far. This one in particular is one of my favorites. And I made all these molds myself. I made that by hand. And I'm finding that as I'm getting into more and more mold making, as you can see, this is a mold, these are molds, these are molds. Those are just pinpoints. Mold. What I'm finding is that I like sculpty clay to make molds, or excuse me, stamps. I so apologize, stamps. Because stamps give such a degree of clarity. You can see all those little hashtag marks. It's amazing what that thing will do, and transfer. So look at how good all that detail is. I'm just impressed with it. Then I have a stack more. Now I found a secret. I don't know if it's going to be a secret to anybody else, but you know, I always dry them like this. Hang on, I'll bring this over. These are just simple cookies for these pyrometric cones, but I like everything to be flat if I can. So as you can see, these pieces of clay are between two pieces of Durarock, which is concrete board, which is keeping these nice and flat. But after firing so many times and them being in the kiln, when they go to the higher temperature, they tend to warp. So what I found that helped out quite a bit was this. Where'd it go? Where's the other ones? I have more. Well, it's good enough for now. So what I did was this. I took, see, this one's not perfect. This one's the one that I did it on. This is so nice and perfectly flat. And what I did was when I ran it in the kiln, these are called posts for your kiln furniture. And they just so happen to work. If I laid it there, and then I laid it there, and I laid another one there and there, I had something that held them flat without sticking, because it's a kiln post, and this is just underglaze, no glaze on it. And it really helped keep it flat. So I'm going to start doing all of my tiles like this. I don't know if that tip will help you at all, but I hope so, because it certainly did for me. And then last but not least, here's another. I made this to look like brain coral. I thought that was really pretty. And then again, these are just spirally looking designs that I think are, I love making these. These are such a pleasure to make. They just look so clever and organic. I like them. And then with the gray background, they look lovely. So those were the other pieces that I just got done. So take these out. And now, here we go. I'll give you this. What's in here now is oyster bowls. And they are, oh!
Almost had one.
That was as kind of close as I've ever seen it. Wow. The I have the alumina hydrate and kiln wash on the top of all my posts for that very reason, and I lifted that and felt that there was nothing attached, but apparently something was, because when I finally lifted fully away, the kiln post fell over. But thank you God. You should bring that over so they can see how close it was. Yeah, give me one. I'll lay it down to see where it was so they can see. So what had happened is this. So it was standing up like this, and when we lifted it, it went like that, but didn't hit the oyster platter. Oh, they really are pretty. I don't know. I love the colorful. This is adding a little more blues. The purple shows. That's supposed to be grape. It certainly doesn't look very grapey, does it? Let's hope I can get more grape. But the yellow, it looks still pretty. And then next, of course, as you've all seen, what I've been doing is I am putting mother of pearl on top. So that'll be tomorrow. I'll put mother of pearl on top of it, and that should be good. As usual, the middle shelf is hotter, and you can see it's a hot 6, but it's still a 6. The top was better. I'm glad I put that where I did. And now let's see, this one I'm gonna be a little more careful, Dan. Okay, wiggle, wiggle, shake, shake. Oh, this is different. Wow. Okay. And again, another one, just a bit more colorful with the sand colors and the sea colors, and the back the way I normally do. That's really a nice piece. I'm liking the backs darker like this. I think they're just more attractive, and I like that. And what do you think? Do you like the more colorful, Dan?
Yes.
You do? Okay. There's some pretty looks in here, aren't there? All right, so that's a big bowl, 2 oyster platters, and I have 1 condiment bowl in here. I'll get that out in a second. Because I'm going to turn this kiln around, and tomorrow morning I'm going to do the mother of pearl firing, which is a very low fire 019. And there we go. There you go, hon. Thank you. Oh, interesting. And this is the little condiment dish where, you'd put cocktail sauce here and maybe lemons there. And it's quite warm. I want to get it out of my hands. If you don't mind. So, and the only thing it told me, I should have put a 6, but I only put the 5, and obviously it went way over 5. So, that's it for today, or this evening. And you've seen the mother of pearl, so I probably am not going to tape that for you. I don't want to be too redundant. So,
do photos.
We might post some photos on the end of this, and I promise to let you know how this works as my first mold once it's been fired and done, and I use it as a mold. So, You all have a wonderful week. Happy Labor Day, and enjoy, be with family, friends, and feast. Bye-bye.